No. Why? Well, shit, man. Hey everyone, welcome to my new segment that I like to call Cavalcade of News, the new segment that brings you the latest and greatest in superhero movies and everything else. So, let's go ahead and start with some of the bad news. I don't know why, but sometimes the bad news just gets more of the attention. As you can tell from the video, I was really disappointed to find out that Batman was not part of the DCEU. And then it got the whole switcheroo, because now Batman is part of the DCEU. And if you guys don't know, Matt Reeves is planning on doing a trilogy, but standalone Batman trilogy. Now, to me, that doesn't make any sense. It's part of the DCEU, but it's a standalone Batman trilogy that's not going to feature any of the other characters from the DCEU. I'm like, what the hell? Look, guys. Alright, look. I love Batman as much as the next guy. I really do. But we don't need more Batman standalone films. I mean, that's all we had throughout the entire 90s. And thanks to one guy in particular, it was ruined, and then it wasn't rebooted for another 8 years, and brought back Batman into popularity. So, why are we getting another 3 Batman standalone films? Yes, I understand they will take place in the DCEU. I get it. Yes. I'm really excited about that. However, they're standalone films, and I can't... Oh my god. I don't know how to feel about that. Well, as it turns out, I do have a quote. And let me just say, it really feels like Matt Reeves himself heard like the feedback and everybody just lashing at the story. When people heard that the Batman movies are going to be standalone and not take part in any of the DCEU films, it just seems like Matt Reeves did a total 360 and just went, oh, wait. Did I say that? Let me just clarify it. Batman is confirmed to be in the DCEU placement. However, his films are standalone. So we got a comment from Matt Reeves, and I think it sounds like he's shitting his pants. It says here, just to be clear, of course Batman will be part of the DC universe. Batman will be Batman. In my comments from a while back about not being part of the DCEU, I was talking about the Batman being a story specifically about Batman, about the others, not about the others in the universe. That it wouldn't be filled with cameos servicing other stories. That it would be a Batman story. Yeah, Matt, when you made that comment about Batman not being a part of the DCEU, you should have clarified in the first place. And now you're coming back a couple days later saying that he is a part of the DCEU, however, these are just Batman stories? Like, come on. How would you like if I said Spider-Man's not part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe? And then I come back a couple days later. Let me be clear. Spider-Man is part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. His placement still remains. However, these are just standalone Spider-Man stories, which we don't need because we already had 6 of them, for God's sakes, or 5 of them. And we're on our 6th one now with Spider-Man Homecoming. But yeah, that's pretty much the example I wanted to bring up. But let me ask you this. How do you guys want these Batman standalone films to be handled? Should they take the stories from Batman Year One? Should they take the stories from Batman the Killing Joke? I will get back to that, by the way. What do you think? I think personally they should go with Batman Year One. And the third film should take place post Justice League 3, I'm thinking. And it should end with The Dark Knight Returns, where we actually see the real good fight between Batman and Superman. Old age Batman and Superman. By then, Ben Affleck will actually be in his 50s, post Justice League 3, if they're going to call it that. And it'll suit him well to be the Batman character again in his old age. And he'll get to fight Superman. And I think it'll be great. So I think the first movie should be Batman Year One, where they cast an entirely different actor. It looks kind of similar to Ben Affleck, where he grows into looking like Ben Affleck when he's in his 50s. So yeah, that's just my take. Let me know what you think. Up next, we got some news about the Joker. The Joker. I love the Joker character. He's one of my favorite Batman DC villains. Actually, he is my favorite DC villain for Batman, and just my favorite DC villain in general. So we just got word that the Joker is getting a solo film. Does he need it? Does the Joker need a solo film? Not really. I don't really think so. His popularity doesn't really warrant a solo film. I mean, the Joker is to Batman as Batman is to the Joker. They're like the yin and yang. You cannot do one without the other, honestly. So if you're going to do a Joker origin story, place his origin story in a Batman film. You can easily do that with The Killing Joke or Under the Red Hood. I honestly think that could easily be done. Where, let's say the movie starts with present day, with the Joker shooting Barbara, and then we cut to the past, which this comic does show, by the way. This comic does show his past, before he went mad and became the Joker, He was a struggling comedian, he had a wife, and he got involved with some bad people, and he donned the red hood and a cape, and he fell into a batch of, green chemicals, and then he rises from the batch of chemicals and he just went insane. I think it's a perfect way to give an origin story to the Joker, because honestly, the Joker doesn't really have that's his origin story, how he became the Joker, but he doesn't have an alias. To this day, nobody knows the Joker's name because he doesn't have a real name, or it's unknown. But yeah, if you want to read more into the Joker storyline, I highly suggest you pick up Batman the Killing Joke. Do not pick up the movie. The movie sucks. They added an extra 30-35 minutes of extra shit that we didn't need to see, and I think it's the worst. So pick up Under the Red Hood, and also pick up The Killing Joke so you can gain some insight on the Joker and how he became to be and why he went mad. It's one of my favorite stories of all time. It's a really short graphic novel. It's beautiful. Pick it up at your local comic shop. You can get this one for $20 if I'm not mistaken. Or if you want to pick up the comics, it's probably better that way. But I go with the graphic novel because it's really cool. I have the hardcover. Up next, we have some more news on DC comic books. We just got word that Anna Diop got casted as Starfire in the new Teen Titans live action series called Titans. I don't know why they do that. Why did you take off the name teen out of Teen Titans if they're teenagers? I hate it when TV shows do that. Oh, we're not going to call it Superman. We're going to call it Man. Yeah, that's what we're going to call it, Man. Anyways, here's what it says here. Titans follows a group of young, soon-to-be superheroes recruited from every corner of the DC universe. In this action-packed series, Dick Grayson emerges from the shadows to become the leader of a fearless band of new heroes, including Starfire, Raven, and many others. Titans is a dramatic, live-action adventure series that will explore and celebrate one of the most popular comic book teams ever. The show will be written by Akiva Goldsman, who also did Star Trek Discovery, Underground. President and CCO of DC Entertainment, Jeff Johns, who's done work on The Flash and Arrow, and Greg Berlanti, who also worked on Arrow, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, and The Flash and Supergirl. Anna Diop's character Starfire first appeared in a previous story that was part of the DC Comics Presence number 26 in October of 1980. Starfire, also known as Coriander, is described as an alien princess from a warrior planet who seeks asylum on Earth. A no-nonsense, take-no-prisoners strangers on our world, Starfire has the ability to shoot energy bolts and fly. Searching for her place on Earth, she'll come into contact with the Titans. So yeah, that's our word on the casting of Starfire, and I'm pretty excited for a Teen Titans TV series. I hope we do get a gritty, grounded version of Teen Titans, which it probably will, because this show is going to be tailored to teenagers, mostly in their 14, 15s, late teens and up. The Flash and Arrow is already tackling that demographic. So why not do that for Teen Titans? I mean, they're teenagers. And lastly, we just got an update from David Harbour himself. He talks his different take on Hellboy from Ron Perlman. So we have a quote from David Harbour. It says that Ron sort of embraces this machismo in himself and in Hellboy. That kind of is this thing, and I really like it, and I think it's super fun, and it's a super fun performance. But I think Hellboy has a certain psychodynamic where occasionally he has to prove that he's the lion and has to roar. But I think he struggles with his own masculinity. I'm not sure about that because Hellboy is a very masculine dude. But I don't think he needs that as much as maybe those other movies did. I have a bit of a different take on his capability or his slickness. I sort of think that for me, he's a little less skilled at constructing that persona. He also added that there is some explanation of Hellboy, but it's not really an origin story movie. We kind of pick up the movie like we're running and gunning. We do have a little bit of stuff where we show stuff, but it really is a story and you just drop it in with this guy. So in a way, I feel like that's kind of what Indiana Jones was. You start with him stealing the idol, but you do go back to the university and you understand that he's an archaeologist. You understand these things, but this is just a guy who goes and steals idols and fights Nazis and wants to steal the Ark of the Covenant. But you never go back when he's a kid and you're like, how did he become Indiana Jones? It's like, no, we accept that this is Indiana Jones, and I think that's kind of what our story does too. You accept that there's this half-demon guy running around the world and being a paranormal investigator and solving crimes and also dealing with his own issues at the same time. It's a great point that David Harbour pointed out because movie studios have this tendency of wanting to tell an origin story for every character that we've all known. And honestly, I think that ruins the aspect of these characters that we know and love and that we grew up with, especially characters like RoboCop, Indiana Jones, believe it or not, Leatherface from Chainsaw Massacre, even some superhero movies, and I think personally the best kind of movies with the best characters start off with the characters already being established, and it goes on from there. You don't really need a huge amount of redundant exposition to get your story across. All you got to do is just have a few characters who are really, really interesting and appealing to an audience, and have a solid script to tell a cohesive story, and you got yourself a solid film. That's it. Studios believe that reboots and prequels and origin stories are kind of like the big fad these days, when in most cases they don't really work out as well as they planned it to be. Honestly, I think it's just unnecessary. We don't need origin stories of a character that we know and love. It kind of takes away the magic of that character, and it kind of ruins everything. And these prequels and origins of these characters that already have been established for years, they're called retcons, which means retrospective continuity. You take a character that has existed for many years and you just give them an origin story, and it kind of takes away the magic and you just ruin the character. And then you go into this movie and you're like thinking, this is the origin story of that character? I don't really care. I didn't really need to see this. This is completely unimportant and not impactful in any way to the character. In fact, it just ruins the character for me. And that's happened before. And honestly, I'm starting not to care about reboots and prequels nowadays. I mean, some prequels are good, I'll tell you that, but not every character needs an origin story, and not every character needs a prequel or anything like that, because honestly, and I sound like a broken record, it kind of takes away the magic and that feel of the character that we already know and love. And David Harbour brings up a good point. Phenomenal actor, by the way, if you haven't seen him, especially in Stranger Things. If you haven't checked that out, please watch Stranger Things right away on Netflix. What are you waiting for? It's a good show. And yeah, so that's everything I got for you for Cavalcade News. Hope you guys liked that little sketch in the beginning, by the way, and I thought it was great to add it because of the news that we got in this week of superhero related news. And I know it's been 3 days that I haven't uploaded a video, and it feels like a long time, but I gotta say, I've been really busy lately, and I just got a new full-time job, so I'm working 40 hours a week. So it's going to be kind of difficult for me to upload videos more frequently as I was doing previously, like last week and a few months back then. With that being said, a lot of changes coming. I got a lot of videos coming up for you. I did a review recently on the Defenders, and I'm not going to do a spoilers review on the Defenders, by the way. What I am going to do is talk about the ending of the Defenders. If you all have seen it, then you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm going to be talking about a specific character, and I'm going to be doing an origins for that specific character coming up soon. And then next, I'm going to have a gameplay of part 2 of Batman: The Enemy Within. If you haven't checked out part 1 is already uploaded on my channel. Please go ahead and do so if you don't mind. If you love gaming, It's on my channel, ready for you to see. I'll leave an annotation at the end of this video so you can go ahead and check it out, okay? Anyways, guys, thank you for watching my video. Hit that like button if you like this video. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you all in the next comic panel.